And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The Hairloss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Cobrin's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Thank you so much for hanging out. And today we did pretty well. 207 on the West Coast. That's 507 on the East Coast, and I think it's 10:07 at Greenwich Mean Time. Is that correct?
It would be 9:07 Greenwich Mean Time.
9:07.
I believe 10:07 London time. I think there's an hour difference between GMT and London time.
Oh, okay.
Just saying.
Smarty pants. Fucking no,
and
Mr. Know-It-All.
Just so everyone knows, we're always on time. We're just sitting here watching the chat for the first 5 to 7 minutes of you guys going, where are they?
Yeah.
Where are they? We've been here for 15 minutes.
What happened to these guys? They're always fucking late. Guys, listen, if you're just tuning into the program, you don't know who we are, why we're here. My name is Spencer Cobrin. I am the founder of the American Hairloss Association, the author of a couple of well-known books on the subject of the prevention and treatment of hair loss, the first being The Bald Truth, and the second, The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. One was published by Simon & Schuster, imprint of Pocket Books, and the other, originally contemporary books, then bought out by McGraw-Hill. Why do I say that like that's an important thing? Because it is, honestly. I mean, sadly, well, not sadly, but now we live in a self-published world, which in a way is good. Everyone's able to get their information out there. But when I started back in the golden days and the old days of this, I mean, shit was hard. Getting published and becoming published author actually meant something. And why I am, I guess, I don't know, really, why I think this really impacts this particular field is that now anyone is able to get anything out to the masses, whether they're publishing their own books, whether they're publishing ebooks, whether they're just writing a blog. And kind of expertise is essentially almost thrown out the window. You don't truly have to be an expert today to become an influencer. You don't truly have to, do your homework, get your shit together, and have your facts checked by a third party to get that information out to the public. And that's another reason, or the main reason why I'm still doing this at the age of 54, because it is a more dangerous time than ever to be a hair loss sufferer. Now, it's the best time in history to have to deal with hair loss as far as we are now able to really treat hair loss for some people. Not everyone's going to be helped. Hair transplants have come a long way, but sadly, things are going backwards as far as the scale of bad work that's being done comparatively to the old days. And it was bad. It was fucked up. When I got into this field, it was really fucked up. And we thought we fixed it.
It was basically fixed for several years.
Yeah. I mean, there were still a lot of hacks out there, but they weren't getting the attention that all the new hacks are getting. You're right there?
Yeah, my other system, the NAS system, just kind of kicked in. Don't know why.
Check out my hair. Just got out of the shower. Anyway, had a late night last night. Don't want to get too involved in what went down, but there were a lot of booze, Jolly Ranchers, and African American women. Don't ask me about it though. So I do what I do, and we're doing what we do because it's a fucking cesspool out there now, more than ever. And I see all the shit that is on YouTube. Someone commented on our last show, and I appreciated that comment, and it's true, and it's partially our fault. But someone wrote, "Why don't these guys have 100,000 followers?"
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Now, our message forum, my message forum, I don't know how many, it's got to be, I don't know how many users. I have to look, but it's a lot. We have the most, we started a decade later than everybody else who has forums, most of the guys that have forums, and we have almost twice the membership. So in that little world that we were able to grow, and on the Bald Truth and through the radio, and obviously through my books, we have reached millions of people over the years. But in this arena, we haven't even started. And this year, we're going to put a lot of effort into this to make this happen because it's vitally important. I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, YouTube. I don't feel like dealing with it. But I realize that we really have to. And we have to because you guys are out there who are doing your research or think you're doing your research and subscribing to people's channels who are essentially putting you in harm's way. We're going to talk about something today that is really rarely ever talked about. And I don't think I've ever seen it spoken about by any of the influencers on YouTube. And that is death by hair transplant. Because that's a fucking thing, people.
It is.
By the way, let me introduce Joe, the other guy that's talking. It's Joe Tillman, the original hair transplant mentor. And he is been in the trenches in the hair transplant world for a very, very long time, and he really knows his shit. So if you're not listening to what Joe has to say, you may be like, "I want to listen to this old man with the comb over." Maybe you should just listen to Joe at least, because this guy has been there. As far as he's been a patient, he's had 9 hair transplants. He's had bad hair transplants. He's had great hair transplants. And, I know where all the bodies are buried because I've been in the back end of this business for such a very, 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 very long time. He has actually helped to bury some of the bodies. I'm just kidding. He actually knows, I said that last week, he actually knows, he has the map of where the bodies are. And what that means is...
I used to be the fixer. I used to be a fixer.
He's a fixer, yeah. I mean, the shit that goes on in this industry will blow your fucking minds, people. So when you see people talking about how their hair transplant went in Turkey, or how their hair who you should go to for a hair transplant and all this stuff, trust me. There's some good entertainment value there. There are some people there that are really, I think, trying to know what's going on in the field based on what they read. But they're reading the same shit that you guys are, man. They can't help you. I wish they could, because I would get off the fucking air.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Not for you to get off the fucking air, but
yeah, that would be nice too.
That came out wrong. It'd be about fucking time you get off the.
That's okay.
No, it'd be nice if there were, when you think about it, there's really no one out there that is sharing information based on
experience,
more than
true
their
experience
of having, 1 hair transplant or 2 hair transplant. Like, no one that's actually worked in the industry and deals with patients on a regular basis is actually doing any sort of YouTube work. That just kind of hit me. I just realized
that is the reality. Yeah, there's a couple of like old school consultants that have put their face out there. I'm talking about the old school salesmen, the guys that went out there and would sell a 15-year-old a fucking hair transplant because they claim that they had to. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I actually wanted to look at that again and see if there's any updates on it. But one thing I realized is that when you're talking about that, it's like all of anyone that's a consultant in the industry that's talking about this, they're talking about it from, you know, this industry. They're talking about it from a very narrow field of view. They're talking about it from this perception. You know, Steve Jobs had this this saying called, I think it was called the reality distortion field.
Yeah.
Where you're in your own reality based on not just what you see, but also what you begin to believe from your very narrow experience in any sort of, you know, arena. And in this case, hair transplant consultants, and I see this across the board, when I deal with these consultants, they look at the industry from their very narrow view of experience working in one clinic.
Right.
And this is something, you know, I was guilty of the same thing for many years, working where I worked for 11 years. After I got to, you know, get out and visit other clinics.
I tried to tell you, dude.
These other clinics. You know, you did. And my eyes opened up into in a manner that I didn't expect, to where my reality distortion became much larger, or my reality field became much larger. And so anyone that is in the industry is talking about, is on YouTube and trying to educate you, they're educating you based on their limited exposure to the field. For years. I mean, there are clinics even today, or at least one particular clinic today, talking about FUE as if it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Because they keep getting in people that have had bad FUE cases. And so they're like, see, it doesn't work. That's why strip is superior. No, dipshit. It's because, like, what else are FUE repair patients going to do? They're going to go into a clinic and try to get repaired. You're not seeing the happy patients, which are all over the place, that are, it's like they have no reason to come into your office. So that's why you're not seeing them.
I'll be even more damning and specific, because what you're saying is absolutely right. But if you see anybody who has been in the game, who's worked for large chain clinics as a consultant, and now they're working for smaller clinics because they can no longer work for large chain clinics, or large chain clinics sold out or consolidated, or whatever it is, they're coming from a very dark fucking world. It is a very dark world. I this one guy who now is, you know, he works with the product manufacturers, but he was an old school fucking sales guy at the clinics, man. And he would say that they would actually have meetings. This is when I started. About me.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
About me.
How to counter Spencer Coburn.
What we're going to do to essentially destroy this person. Now, this is in the late 90s. This is when I first started.
Yeah.
You know, I actually may speak about this at FUE Europe, but I remember when one former chain clinic owner, really well-known guy, was at a live surgery workshop in Orlando, and he turned to one of our members and said, "Your boy Coburn is finished." And this is like in 2001.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So he was able to convince, because he had quote unquote influence in the field at the time, both of the pharmaceutical companies who were sponsoring the Bald Truth on national radio to pull the plug. And I was warned in advance by this doctor, and I thank him to this day. So I didn't try to preempt that. What I did was I went out and I said, you know what? I own the show. And for anyone who understands that, and guys, we'll take your call in a second. And there's an important point here, I think. Maybe I'll find it. But when I started doing my broadcast 20 years ago, I was paid by CBS Radio, not a lot of money, but I was paid by CBS Radio for the broadcast. And the problem was, radios they're in the game of advertising. So who were they selling it to? They were selling my show to the large chain clinics. They were selling around it, in it, whatever it is. I had to figure out a way to keep the show on the air without this happening. And then I learned about brokering time. I had no idea that even existed. So I decided.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So in the world of radio, real talent, quote unquote, real talent looks down on broker time. They call it infomercials. But I didn't give a fuck. So I found out how much it was. I ended up buying the time and I ended up selling it across the country. And I guess doing pretty well doing that. But what I chose to do, instead of cowering in fear when I heard about this, I doubled down. I wrote a check to 10 stations across the country without even selling the time yet. And I bought 3 months of airtime in advance so that I was able to come out when these guys pulled the plug and announce that I'm going to be, instead of on 10 markets, and 20 markets. So from the time that I found out about this, the time that I ended up having to, air on those 20 markets, I resold that time. And when the pharmaceutical companies pulled out, I was still making more money than I ever had. And
yeah, you're making more money without them than with them.
Right. And this guy was like, what the fuck? How did Coburn survive this one? So my whole point is that this industry has been dirty from the very beginning. And I had another point. I don't even know why I brought that up. I had another point, but it's been dirty from the very beginning. And, we're talking about consultants. So this particular guy that I spoke to worked for this guy who tried to destroy the show and the truth. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me all kinds of very interesting things. I mean, they would literally, it was like once a week, it was the Coburn meeting. I don't know what it was called, if it was called the Coburn meeting. But they actually spent time trying to figure this shit out.
Strategize.
So these are the guys
first
that
trying to figure you out, then strategize around it.
Yeah. So, but I will give this guy credit. The guy that tried to annihilate me. He did it within every legal parameter that he could. He didn't cross the completely unethical line, which is what happens online today. The way doctors bash each other and shit like that. He just went within legal, like in a situation where I could actually sue him if I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about defamation. It wasn't about, and it was just about, we're going to take action and try to destroy this guy legally.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
And I bet he's not around anymore, is he?
He is not. But
you outlasted him.
But here's the point. He worked within, even the bad guys back then worked within a certain parameter, except for one actually. A certain parameter of the game. Like within the boundaries of the rules. Mm-hmm. To try to compete or to try to beat other people. It's not the way it is anymore. So we're talking about this consultant that we see online. I mean, when you hear this guy talk, I'm just like, holy shit.
The shit he's saying is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So guys, I know that was kind of a rant and a little bit of a ramble, but as you guys said, and I wasn't going to say anything on the air, but you're talking about in the chat room, it is my birthday. So I do.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
And no, I'm not going to sing happy birthday, because if I do that, then you guys will just ask for more, because I'm just.
I had people singing to me yesterday. I can't even tell you what went down. I am too old to have had a time like I had last night. That's all that I'm saying. I'm hurting a little bit right now, but I still worked out this morning. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. I see the lines are full. We're going to take your calls in a second, but we're talking about death by hair transplants today.
Yes. Yeah, we kind of got off subject there.
Yeah. You know what? It's so funny. One thing, when John Cole said, how are you going to talk for 20 minutes? I'm like, dude, I could talk for an hour with no script. That's what I do. Doesn't always make sense.
There's so much stuff to talk about. Yeah, there's so much stuff to talk about. It's like the scripts are writing themselves every day.
Absolutely.
when we get emails and phone calls and,
No, but he gave me a 20-minute time slot for this talk that I have to give in Europe. And he said, that's a long time, man. He's sure you're going to be able to speak for 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm looking at the clock right now. It's 19 minutes and 46 seconds. And I got nothing in front of me. So anyway, Joe, you start this thing off, and then I will blabber on some more.
Well, that's what we do here at The Bald Truth. We blabber on.
Or babble, as one person
Or
once
babble.
said.
We blabber and babble.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so the main subject of today's broadcast is death by hair transplant. And the reason I bring this up is because I've seen the headlines, and all of you have seen this as well, the headlines of hair transplant patient dies in some insert country here,
Foreign land.
some foreign land, yeah. And I think that's, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. It's kind of fascinating. It's kind of same old shit just recycled, where it's sensationalism with these online papers, or I guess some of them are print papers as well. But the truth behind most of these cases is that it doesn't matter where you go. These cases are situations where usually it's a patient dying from cardiac arrest because they already had some sort of pre-existing cardiac condition, or they had some sort of allergic reaction that they weren't expecting, that they weren't aware that they were allergic to something, like a form of anesthesia, or they went into some sort of anaphylactic shock. These are things that can happen, not just can happen anywhere, but do happen anywhere. So when you see these stories about hair transplant patient dies in some exotic far off land, the same shit happens in North America. The same shit happens in the UK. The same shit happens in Europe. You just don't hear about it because it's not sensationalism. Now, sometimes, if some of those stories can make it out, like there was a case somewhere in the Midwest in the past couple of years, I don't remember any of the details. Patient died of a heart attack. Big deal, right? Not really, because it happens in all kinds of surgeries every day across the world, in some of the best hospitals that have ever been built, and some of the best doctors that have ever graduated from medical school. Death, or the potential for death, is a part of any surgical procedure. So I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Surgery is the last resort. Spencer said it more than 1,000 times. Surgery is the last resort. Not just because once you're cut, you're cut. It's because anything can happen in surgery. Like I said, anaphylactic shock, some sort of allergic reaction to something. God knows what you can react to.
Well, I can tell you that lidocaine toxicity is so much more common than people are willing to discuss. This procedure is promoted as being done under safe local anesthetic. Well, the reality is most doctors, sadly, really don't know the exact amount of anesthetic per pound that should be administered. They're not anesthesiologists. And one of our doctors, Dr. Dan Danio, was a pain management specialist for a very, very long time. And we did a segment on lidocaine toxicity and, the issues with lidocaine toxicity and how common it is. And a lot of people actually are suffering with lidocaine toxicity when they don't realize that they are. They may say, well, my teeth felt a little, I felt a little pain in my teeth when I was having the procedure. That's pretty fucking common. What does that mean? That means you were given too much lidocaine, that you were having a toxic effect to the lidocaine. What can just something like that do to a person? It could put them into cardiac arrest in a fucking second.
Strange connection between teeth and the heart.
Yeah, if you're taking benzodiazepam or peen, depending on where part of the world country you're from, Klonopin, Valium, whatever it is. And a lot of these doctors actually give people a Valium prior to their procedure to relax them. But those particular benzos act on the same, I forgot what it's called, but it's the same path that the lidocaine goes through. It's the same, I forgot what it's called, but essentially they compete against each other. So sometimes physicians end up having to give more lidocaine than they would like because people are saying, I'm not numb. And maybe Joe could look that up while I'm speaking, but that's a problem. So a lot of experts will use Ativan, which doesn't compete with the lidocaine. Now, I could be getting this wrong. I know the drugs are correct. But these are all little nuances that no one's going to tell you about. I mean, frankly, if I was going to have surgery, I would ask for Ativan in advance, or ask them to give me a prescription for Ativan so I can bring it to the surgical center. Because I don't want to have any lidocaine injected in me in any way, shape, or form if I am taking other benzos. And believe me, if I'm going to have an operation, I'm going to take the benzos. So, but these are all things, so in the last 4 years alone, there was a death by hair transplant in the Chicagoland area, a death by hair transplant in the Southland area here in Southern California, a death by hair transplant, I think it was in Milwaukee. You don't see this in the news. You have to go through the case files and look through, because all these families are suing these doctors. But that's right. The reality of going under the knife and having non-invasive, simple outpatient procedures, even turnkey device procedures, FUE, like it's like a walk in the fucking park. This is fucking surgery, people. This shit is for real. You could be 22 years old, a little too much medication, you're going to have a stroke.
Especially with a lot of 22-year-olds are showing up for surgery hungover from the night before.
Right.
Hey, I'm in a foreign land. Let's go party.
Yeah, absolutely. Or on steroids. A lot of these kids are fucking jacked on steroids. No one gives a shit. These doctors, well, whatever. They don't give a fuck.
And one thing I will say about, I think the validity of the, I think this is probably the only thing that has any sort of validity with the embellishment of hair transplant patient dies in a far off foreign exotic land, is that when you're going to some of these countries where it's a super cheap hair transplant, I think that the risk of death by hair transplant does rise only if you're in one of these mills where the doctor might be on the other side of the building, if he's even in the building at all. Because the technicians sure as fuck have zero clue what to do if you start to go into lidocaine toxicity or you have some sort of cardiac event or anything like that. They have zero clue and you're done. So that would be the only reason why I think going to a foreign country, a lot of these foreign, like India, Turkey, they do have some fantastic medical facilities and medical training, no question about it. But if you go to some of these clinics where you've got a small army of technicians and one doctor dealing with 5 to 10 or more patients in a day just drawing hairlines, the fact that he or she would have to run to the other side or up however many levels. I mean, the way that they normally operate,
you'd be dead.
If there's a doctor there, they're nowhere nearby. They're off doing something else. And the time it would take to get to you, you could be dead 10 times over before they even get to you.
Dude, if I would have any form of plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery, and again, real surgery, say I want to get my eyes done because, eventually I'm not going to, this is falling so far, I'm not going to be able to see soon, whatever. I'm going to have an EMT crew. I'll hire them. They will be sitting there with their fucking gear all fucking day. And I'll tell you how fucking paranoid I am. I probably wouldn't do it in California because of earthquakes.
That is something you'd avoid, yeah.
That's the way my fucking mind works. I'm not saying you guys shouldn't have surgery in California.
Nebraska for my surgery.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there could be a fucking, a tornado, but at least I'll get some warning.
A little bit.
And
that's why you'd have your surgery in a basement.
Right. It'll be a fucking bomb shelter.
Yeah.
Jesus. I hope no surgeons are listening to this because
bingo. That's your answer. Go to South Dakota and have your surgery in a former missile silo.
Yeah, I mean, because no one ever operated on me.
No tornadoes, no earthquakes.
Yeah,
good to go.
But so that's the reality, guys. Death by hair transplant is it is a possibility. Yes, I mean, is it the anomaly? Sure. I mean, it's not a common event, but I'll tell you what is common. Necrosis, not necessarily by the procedure itself, but because of the way the anesthetic is administered.
Oh, anesthetic. Yeah.
Yeah. I know of one guy. He used to be online a lot. He went to a very, very well-known hair transplant surgeon. Also happens to be a facial plastic and reconstructive surgeon. He decided to get a chin implant and a hair transplant at the same time. Because of the anesthetic and also because of the pressure of the way he was laying, and they just weren't paying attention, he ended up having severe necrosis of the scalp. He had to have some of his scalp removed. I don't know if you remember that story.
I do not.
Yeah. And this guy teaches courses. I mean, this guy is all over the place, ABHRS, the whole fucking thing. Shit happens, guys. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Anything else you want to say before we take a call, Joe?
Nope.
Right.
We're good to go.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
This guy. Hello?
Yes, hey, you got to turn down your radio. I mean, or your computer or whatever. Whatever you're listening to us on. Radio.
Hey, guys. Good evening. My name is Hoy. We talked like 2 weeks ago. I called the Friday show.
What's your name? Hoy?
Hoy from UK. I don't know if you guys remember.
I remember you, sure.
Yeah.
How you
guys doing? I'm good. Happy birthday, Spencer.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
And hope you're well as well, Joe. Yeah, it's just to talk a little bit, I don't know if I can talk about me or I have to talk about my hair transplant.
No, you can talk about you.
I don't know
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Either or.
I don't want to be focused on me, it's just because you have a team, you have like a plan for the show, so I don't want
Well, you know
to
what?
take much time.
The reason we do the live show is so that you guys can focus on your problems, and we can help you with your problems. So go ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I had my repair case done on Monday by Dr. Lopenzola already.
Oh, okay.
I'm back in UK. I'm back. I'll tell you, I never. And I'm a nurse. I had consultations with the doctors all my life, and when as a child I had surgeries. I never had a doctor like Dr. Lopenzola in terms of the professional, organized, explain me everything, I'm not here to promote Dr. Lopenzola if he doesn't need it at all. I'm just talking about my experience.
It's important to share positive experiences because we talk so much crap about the reality of this industry.
Yeah.
We want people to know that while there is a lot of bad stuff going on out there, we're trying to guide you to the good people.
And it's so approachable and so friendly, so real in terms of what can be done, and it's so organized. I was like mesmerized. It's just amazing experience. Behind, the experience that I had before in Turkey was so bad that, worse than that one couldn't be, So, was really good. Now I'm recovering. I'm still swelling. It took more than, the plan was taking first 50 plugs, but it took 140 plugs. And,
sorry, let me interrupt just a second. Remind the viewer or the viewers and listeners that may not be familiar with your case. Just give a summary of your previous experience and then what led you to Lopenzola.
I had a hair transplant almost 1.5 years ago in Turkey. Just lower a little bit my hairline because I thought my forehead was bigger to my face, and was just in my mind probably, So I went to Turkey with the doctor that he didn't did a procedure. It was basically the technicians that done my hair transplant and ended up being a mess. Basically like a plug job, in the front line. and not very, very dense. So I was lucky because I still have all my hair on the crown and on the middle as well I have. So I wasn't happy. I started following you guys. This is a great community. So, and for you guys, I find Dr. Lupenzula, and I had my revision surgery this last Monday. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. So I think you told us based on your consultation, but when he saw you in person, what was his thoughts about the procedure you had? I mean, he's going to be very kind, I'm sure, but I mean, what did he tell you that as far as I'm sure he said, you know, this is correctable, whatever it is, but did he kind of tell you exactly what was done to you?
With Dr. Lupenzula now?
Yes. When Dr. Lupenzula, before you did the surgery, when you sat down with him and you met him for the first time, did he explain like, okay, this isn't good, and you know?
So basically, I told him, the first thing I told him, I don't want to have a quick fix. If I'm here, you know, if I have to wait, if I wait already 1 year and a half, and I prefer to wait more and to have a desirable outcome, more normal results. So I don't mind to do 2 procedures or 3 procedures. So he agreed with me. He told me that you're going to work a little bit of on my temples, and you're going to remove my plugs. You'll not remove all in one go, because he told me if you remove all, the holes of the scars of the plugs that could be bigger, you know, and expand, you know, and will leave a noticeable scar. And I agree. So it took just we agreed first in a consultation that just will be 50 plugs, but it was 140. And I still see the holes, but, you know, they are almost healing, you know. It's not noticeable, you know. They are just like the scabs now, you know, from the wounds, you know. And I'm applying the cream that he gave me, and fortunately, it could replant again the plugs, some of the plugs, because other plugs, they were too deep, and when the plugs are too deep, they cannot use them again because they've been traumatized. And you know, he transplanted me. Apart from that, it was like totally 1,300 grafts. And next, in the 4 months' time, you're gonna work out in my hairline. And he told me probably I could need, if I want more density on the back of my hairline, you will see if I need it or not.
So,
but, you know, I like his...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Tell me.
So, I mean, you were about to say that you like his approach, and you like, I think that's what you were about to say. I mean, so at this point, so it's been what? How long has it been since you had your surgery with him?
5 days. I cannot see a result, of course.
Right, but the fact that the hairs were removed and that the obvious pluggy look was removed. I mean, how do you feel about that? Can you see? I mean, I'm sure you're shaved down, right?
Yeah, I look like a gangster now, you know.
Good for you.
I'm ready to kill, you know. I'm ready to kill. You know, I feel, you know, although the hair will not grow yet, you know, and of course, but, you know, I can feel my hairline is more like symmetrical in a way that looks normal, you know.
Yeah.
And although some of the plugs still there, and probably they're going to grow while my hair transplant will going to fall when I have to wait for my second procedure. But, you know, it's still, you know, at least, you know, I'm trying to have a positive mind, you know, to think positive, you know, that even if things doesn't work out, my result will be better than my first procedure, I think, for sure, you know.
I can tell you this, that I'm almost, there's no guarantees in anything in life, but I could almost guarantee that even if it's not 100%, you know, your dream procedure, you're going to look a hell of a lot better, period.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, you know, and I totally agree with you, you know, when you are cut, you know, the first time for every surgery is the first time, is when the skin is fresh. The second time, you have to battle again not just that probably in some patients they don't have too many grafts, and you have to battle as well for the scar tissue,
Yeah.
Because
Of course.
patients, they don't understand, when you have a scar tissue and when you transplant the hairs there, the blood flow is not so good like on the fresh scalp. So the results were going to take longer.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting. I love hearing this, the fact that you really educated yourself. But when I speak to young patients, or I see the stuff online, or I go on YouTube and I read the comments on some of these influencers' pages and their responses, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, guys, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, this is real. You have one true shot to have a great hair transplant. And then every other subsequent shot is, okay, we can make you look okay. We can make you look normal. We can get you to a point where you're comfortable. But you have one shot of getting it right the first time. And no one takes it fucking seriously, man. They're like, well, what's the worst that could happen? I'll shave my head. Wrong. You're not going to shave your head. And if you do, you're going to be fucked up because you're going to have speckles all over the back of your head, especially if you go to a place like one of these mills that will do a lot of, will move a lot of hair at once.
Yeah.
So did Dr. Lupinzula reallocate the grafts that he removed, or did he feel like they were too damaged?
He did. Actually, I think he was happy because he could move more than he was expecting. And he told me, like, my density, you guys are the expert, you know more than me in terms of, like, these things. He told me that per graft, my hair density was like 2.4. I don't know if it's good or not, but he told me that it's good. And for centimeter, I think was 100. I don't know what it means for cubicle or something like that. 100. I don't know what that means. But basically, for my previous surgery, I can see that I have like a boomerang mark, on my on the back of my on my donor area, that I don't like. And Dr. Lopinzula told me, if you want to wear your hair short, should be at least 2 centimeters. You cannot wear shorter than that because people will see it. So it's just But it's what I can do. I prefer to have hair, and I never shave my head anyway, and I don't like to wear my hair really short.
Well, the good news is you have hope. You lucked out. You found a good surgeon who actually understands repair surgery and has a lot of time on tissue as far as repairing patients.
Yeah.
So you got lucky.
I don't know if I can send my photos as well for you guys to, or on the next program for you guys, if you guys can present there online as a teaching thing, or
send them to Joe.
Yeah, send them to me.
That's not my job, man.
Oh, I will. And it's just now I have to wait for my second procedure with him, and I've been like, I spray all the time now, it's because, to be honest, with this second one, I cannot see literally just a few scabs, it's unbelievable. And they have mild swelling, of course I'll be swollen because it's the second one, But, I'm so happy for all the process, all the team is very organized. They know what they are doing, and they take care, they really look after me, and just all the intention, and he gave me his number to ask me anything if I want. Oh, I just have one question, guys. What's your opinion regarding finasteride after the hair transplant? I was taking before, but finasteride can increase the growth of the graft. Can promote more growth.
I think that, if you were taking it before, I don't even know why you got off of it, unless you're having severe side effects.
No, I'm continue taking. I'm just thinking about if it helps to for the grafts not fall or some of them start growing.
It has zero to do with preventing grafts falling out. It has everything to do to keep your existing native hair from falling out. So
Okay.
that is absolutely, like, if you've, we're not doctors here, but if you've been taking finasteride and you weren't having side effects and you're only asking about the viability of continuing to take it due to your grafts, wipe that question out of your mind, because it has nothing to do with your grafts. It has everything to do with your existing native hair, and that's why you should really consider continuing. Never, like, for me,
Yeah, I will.
I'm never getting off of it.
Yeah, it's like me, you know. It's like Spencer say, you know, I don't know if in the future I'm gonna have cancer, but to be honest, you know, I prefer to have my hair, especially now when I have this mark, you know, my donor area, you know. I don't want no one to see it, you know.
If you live in a city, if you eat regular, grain-fed fucking meat, if whatever, there's a chance of you getting sick and having cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you know, I actually know I changed all my diet now. I do like intermittent fasting. I did as well
Me
water
too, man.
fast 5 days last month.
Dude, I did 20 hours yesterday. I did 20 hours of a fast yesterday, dude.
It's so amazing, you know. Your skin looks clear, you know.
It's incredible. But you know how fast you get buzzed, though, if you do 20 hours and you have a drink? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was hammered. I was hammered after 2 drinks yesterday.
And he was sure to go on a fast the day of his birthday, so that when he goes to all the bars and says, "Hey, it's my birthday," he can get double fucked up.
Doubly fucked up.
But you know, I try to eat really healthy. You know, it's just I think as well genetics is an important fact, of course, but I truly think that diet plays a big thing, you know, in the hair loss.
Well, I'm gonna have to let you go because we have some other calls. But I will say this as far as diet. I mean, I do think it plays some there. And I wrote about this in my first book. There is definitely something to it as far as creating less inflammation, and there's a lot of things that can help you maintain your hair. But genetics will eventually take over. However, I will tell you this: there's no fucking doubt that intermittent fasting, and while it seems like it's a fad, it is a fucking fountain of youth, my man. I'm telling you, it's a fountain of youth.
As well, intermittent fasting of try with protein recycling. So basically, you eat like twice a week animal protein. You can eat more fish, wild fish, and the other days you eat more like a vegetarian type of diet. And I'm 33. I don't have any wrinkles at all, and I didn't see any Botox or fillers at all.
Look at me, dude. I'm 54. I'm 54.
Yeah, you look great. Yeah,
So.
you look great.
All right, man. Listen,
You too as well, Joe.
he's so nice. He always wants to include Joe. You don't have to include Joe all the time.
Yeah,
Just give me the praise.
No, you should. I appreciate that.
Any jealousies, it's not any jealousies,
All right, brother. Listen, congratulations. We always appreciate the call and your patronage, and just keep us posted.
Thank you. Always.
All right.
Always. Yeah, I know. I hope that all works fine. Anyway, see you.
All right. Good luck. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you. Thank you.
888-659-3727. Yeah, I like the fact that he's so optimistic. I mean, he picked a great doctor, and so he has. Absolutely. I mean, his optimism is realistic, but he's not letting the past bring him down. He's moving forward, and that's important. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, happy belated or happy birthday. You don't look a day over 53.
Thank
Nico.
you, man. I appreciate that, Nico. Dude, I keep saying 54 is the new 53.
It works, man.
So
you got that. Now I can see. I definitely see the Clapton-esque thing in you for sure.
Okay, cool. Good.
That'll always work.
Yeah.
No matter what. So
what's happening, Matt?
Just checking in. Had a couple questions, 2 if possible, and maybe if there's time, a Joe personal hair question.
I think we should start with the Joe personal hair question first.
Let's go with that.
Oh,
Hit me.
okay, fine. Seemed like the least important. Hey, so Joe, on an average day when you wake up, if you didn't have product in your hair, I guess it's like something I could talk about another time, but if you didn't have product in your hair, how would your scar be exposed even with longer hair? Are there any spots, or are you pretty covered?
If I didn't have product in my hair. So
And
you're
you say,
assuming I
like,
use
woke up
product. I'm disturbed by that.
Well, you said you've used hairspray before, so.
That. Oh, okay. That's different. Why is my computer going crazy back here? Okay. Is my scar visible?
Like is it vulnerable at any points on your scalp, would you say, or is it?
That's a good question.
dense enough?
I kind of stopped caring about.
I think that's a question you should have asked me.
Yeah, actually, Spencer has seen he's seen my bedhead, so ask him.
Dude, people are going to take that shit out of context now.
Yeah,
that's okay. Hey, man. Hey, I love you, bro. All right, it's all right.
You're very special.
Dude, he ended up when him and Spencer Stevenson came to visit me the first time in 2012.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
They ended up having to stay the night. They had no choice.
You got hammered, right?
And this guy woke up.
That was a bad one.
I have never seen that level of bloat in my life.
I was in bad shape.
He was in fucking pain. You talk about the hurt locker, man. This guy was in pain.
And I had to catch a flight out that afternoon, and that was not a fun day. I went to a buddy's office in not far from. Actually, it was far at that point. I went to a buddy's office to visit, and I just lay down on the floor by his desk and looked up for the ceiling. I couldn't move.
Yeah, he wrote me. He's like, "What did you do to this guy?" Yes, I did see him when he woke up and came downstairs where I was with common law. So we weren't sleeping in the same bed. He was in the guest room.
Or maybe it was all three of us.
And Specs didn't even make it to the guest room. He passed out on the couch. I had to come down in my boxer shorts and put a blanket on him. Got to teach you guys how to drink. But anyway, I saw him with his hair really, really messed up. And yeah, you can see a little bit, at least on one side that I saw. But in general, I think that if you just comb your hair, you can't see the scar.
Right on.
And my hair was longer back then too, I think.
Yeah, so you really can't see it.
Yeah. Look, and my scar is not perfect by any means. It's really damn good considering all the procedures I've had. But I've also got an issue that a lot of people don't have. Dr. Cole, God bless him, he and I used to argue about this. Like literally, we would argue about this online. And he was talking about how a strip surgery destroys the geometry of your hair growth. And my hair was longer at the time. I was like having fun with different lengths and different styles. And I argued with him about this. It's like, no, like you can't tell. There's no difference with my hair, like the way it flows or anything like that. I started wearing my hair shorter. Oh, hell yeah. He was right.
Sure
he was completely right. Mm-hmm. But the reason why, like, if you look at me now, you can see this line in my hair. That's not from the scar. It's from the change in the geometry, as Dr. Cole speaks about. But it's also because I've had 3 centimeters, or actually, no, close to 6 centimeters of scalp removed from my donor region. So there's a lot of potential for geometry distortion. That's why I have this. It doesn't stand out and people don't notice it. No one talks about it, but that's what that's from. When I point it out, you can see it. So back to your question, when I do wake up in the morning, the sides can kind of stick out a bit more. So yeah, the scar will be visible, but it's more of the distortion of the angle of the flow, as it were, that stands out more.
As opposed to just shock loss, for example. Right.
Oh yeah. Nothing like that. No.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Right on. Okay, cool. Glad I got that personal bit in. So I guess even just a bigger question I was just thinking about recently, Spence, and I know we mentioned maybe a few weeks ago, was you know, how we haven't really heard much about the skin gun lately or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess they had some finally have FDA approval for burn victims, like officially FDA approved. I was wondering if maybe the American Hairloss Association would consider reaching out to that type of, I don't know, to skin gun, or there's something else called resell, because even when you were mentioning necrosis earlier in the show, it's going to, you know, nothing compares to, you know, someone who's gone through, you know, who's a burn victim, right? But we've talked about the possible cosmetic benefits of something like a skin gun, because it's its own emotional sort of trauma, and people's lives have been tremendously affected by transplant. But I don't know if you guys ever considered reaching out to them about.
Well, yeah, it's interesting actually.
Letting them know.
There are a couple of times when I thought about reaching out to them. Now, here's the thing: there's no doubt that it's going to be used, and one of their end games is going to be for it to be used for general surgery and cosmetic surgery. Because imagine if you're able to do all general surgeries with no scarring. Imagine if you're able to do cosmetic surgery with no scarring. Essentially, you'd be able to do a complete skin resurfacing with a CO2 laser and spray these fucking cells on someone and then give them new skin. So the implications are profound.
Yeah.
Absolutely profound. So yeah, you know what? You kind of put it back on my radar. Maybe we will contact them just to, you know, kind of put in their minds.
So many
to kind
people are so affected. That's part of the bigger message about how people get so fucked up emotionally and physically by a transplant. And I think it's just, you know, nothing compares to being a burn victim, no doubt. But it's a huge thing that could maybe change people's lives if shit doesn't go right for them.
Well, I can tell you as a company, I can guarantee you that they are looking at all aesthetic applications.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because essentially, I mean, fuck, if I knew that this, I mean, from what I saw online over the years, I mean, essentially, guy's skin is burnt off, this shit is sprayed on, and he has new skin and no scars.
Yeah, fucking crazy.
I mean, I can look 21 again.
I just had visions of some of these extreme hair loss obsessive types scrubbing the shit out of their head with you know, steel wool or something to break up the skin, hoping they can get this thing sprayed on their head to regrow hair.
Oh, that'll happen. There'll be private forums of people doing that.
Yeah, there'll be there you go. That's the next video by some of these YouTubers. How to grow your hair back with steel wool and resell.
And instead of group buys,
in a centrifuge.
Instead of group buys, what they'll do is they'll have like lottery drawings, and they'll all contribute to the next person who wins the drawing to get this procedure done.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrifying.
It's fucking hard. It is terrifying, and that's the shit that goes down in these fucking private forums, man. They're not so private. They think they're private, but when you read this shit, it's unfucking believable. Anyway, go ahead.
So last thing, so you guys can get to a couple more calls, is I know we talked about anecdotal, things that have come up about reflex hyperandrogenicity, right, from finasteride, the rare cases that might have been discussed.
Yeah.
I know there's all fear mongering and stuff, but if there are such cases in life, have you heard of any strategies for helping with regrowth? I've heard about if finasteride is causing the issue, maybe slowly tapering off instead of just coming off cold turkey kind of thing, which one would do anyway if they're having adverse side effects. But I don't know if that's ever come up along through the years in conversation.
Yeah, people talk about it all the time, and you're going to read. Well, you read less about it online than you used to read about it online. It used to be something that was talked about all the time on the forums and an all-time bald spot. And I remember Peter Proctor used to talk about that exact, this guy sells his own products, but that exact method would be to taper off the drug as opposed to just stopping the drug.
Right.
But, then again, I'm not here to defame, defile, to bash Dr. Peter Proctor. I think he's still selling his stuff. But, for years, this guy had the ear and the hope of so many of the OG original, online guys. And, I don't know. It seems like good advice, but to my knowledge, the products that he's been selling, I don't personally know anybody who's ever contacted me that said that they had a long-term reasonable result with the products. So I don't know about his knowledge base, and I don't know, but it does seem like it's logical advice to taper off if that is actually why you're dealing with a shed.
Right.
You know, as opposed to just getting off at a cold turkey.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to add to it, and I'll bring it up maybe next week, is I think I tried oral minoxidil for a week just to see if my issues were, I didn't want to come off thin, to see if that was the case with the patchy donor shit. So I figured to see if maybe, I mentioned it in the chat last show, was maybe trying oral minoxidil to see if my issues are possibly autoimmune, or, when I saw that dermatologist that time, he'd said, well, if you try Loniten, it won't help anything that's scarring alopecia. So I'm trying to see if what I have might help boost regrowth. If it's a non-autoimmune thing, I don't know. So I didn't take it last night just because I've been scared about it recently. But I don't know, just sharing my shit.
How many milligrams are you taking? 5 or 10?
Oh, not even that much. I started super low at 1.25.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I react to it.
How was this prescribed to you? Like, how did you get a hold of this? Who prescribed it?
Oh, from my surgeon.
Okay. You've read about the potential side effects, like you guys discussed it?
Oh man. Well, that's the funny thing is I looked at your glossary and I really saw the rundown of it all on his paperwork and the forms that I signed. It really doesn't talk much about anything else. It doesn't talk about the lung. If you have cardiac issues, prior lung issues, lung or health problems with lungs, it only really addresses how some of the things that could come up are edema, swelling of the hands, feet, palpitations, and it said in the paperwork that that's rare, but it really didn't talk about. He did ask me before if I had any prior cardiac issues, and I said no. But in his actual paperwork, it really doesn't talk about any of this stuff about, if you have lung problems or any of that stuff. So, but I checked out your glossary and I was like, oh, boom, there it all is. So.
Okay. All right. And I think Loniten, it can work well for some people. It's just you gotta understand what you're getting involved with. I mean, my dad took Loniten for decades.
Right.
For high blood pressure, and once he got off, once his physician switched him to a different medication, he did go through a big bout of hair loss to where he caught up where he would have been without the medication. So he was a strong Norwood 6 by the time he passed. So when people tell me that they're starting Loniten, I get a little nervous.
Yeah.
It's like, well, did you really read the side effects? Did you really look into that? Because it's far worse than what people are talking about with finasteride. So, and you didn't have any issues for that week?
No. Just I'd taken it exactly for a week. I didn't take it last night just because I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait now and see if shit resolves on itself. But, because I postponed all the fucking biopsies. I've tried to figure out if lowering my, I'm trying to keep baseline, but trying to deal with the patchy issues and figure out if it's autoimmune or if it was something, or just a telogen effluvium. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, in that case, maybe don't, experiment for a week at a time with different things. Let your observation run its course, to its full potential before you decide to start dabbling with other treatments. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember that. Yeah. I mean, you know this. You know this.
I know.
And I understand. You're just like, fuck, I need to try this, and I get it. But next time you get that kind of idea, wait till the next show and call in, and so we can talk you down.
Yeah. Right on. No, I know. It was just a desperation for the issues at hand.
I get it, man. No, it affects us all. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Thanks for
I gotta tell you, I'm looking at this RECELL, and even for non-segmental vitiligo, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Let's see what happens.
You know what? I think you prompted a phone call, dude.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Check it out. That'd be great for
Very
a lot
cool.
of us. All right, guys. Thanks so much for your time, as always, and happy birthday again, Spence. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
I appreciate it, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye, guys. Take care.
The phone number is 888-659-3727. Yeah, this is amazing, man.
Yeah. I
And
remember writing about that
Yeah.
like almost, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
it's fucking science fiction, dude.
I'm telling you.
Still can't grow hair,
Hair's
though.
not far behind.
Still can't do it yet, though. But that's...
Does it not grow? Does it not develop like little small body hair type of structures?
It probably does.
Yeah. Some people would be happy with that.
You know?
I'll spray this ReCell on my head. I'll get the steel wool, scrub it down to a bloody nub, spray on the ReCell, and then start using a laser cap.
Or maybe what they'll be able to do is they'll be able to take the cells from the area that grows DHT-resistant hair,
Mm-hmm.
laser their fucking head, spray this on, bingo, grow a new head of hair.
Not a bad idea. Who's next?
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, man.
Hello.
Hey, I can hear you. What's happening? It looks like you are calling from overseas.
Hello.
Motherfucker hung up.
And it's gone.
All right, guys, we have some lines open. 888-659-3727. Oh, actually, we don't now. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this
Hello.
is James from Texas.
James from
Hey,
Texas.
James.
How are you, man?
Hey, not bad. How are you guys doing?
Okay, what's up?
Can't complain.
Not much. Just hanging out, calling like usual.
Good.
I have a pretty simple question, I guess, not really related to transplant, but I was just wondering if there was any truth to the claim that shedding occurs when a treatment starts to work.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And
That's how
if
you know it's
so, I
working.
guess, why is that?
I'll let Joe answer that because I've answered it a million times. But and now it's Joe's turn.
Well, it's simple. Okay, so what are you trying to do with a treatment? You're trying to thicken your hair, grow new hair. Classify it however you want. But what's really happening, like if you, for instance, with Rogaine, you're trying to lengthen the anagen phase. With finasteride, you're trying to also affect the growth cycle and the strength of the hairs. And what happens with any of these treatments, it's actually the same thing with PRP, with laser, anything that's affecting the hair growth, it's also affecting hair cycles. And if there's some sort of reset to the hair cycle, which is what seems to be necessary for hair growth, it means that it's going to kick it into the telogen phase. Goes into catagen, then into telogen. 3 to 5 months later, those hairs start coming back in anagen, and hopefully, with luck, those hairs are going to be thicker as they get longer than they were before treatment starts. So it's across the board. Anything that's going to affect your hair in a positive way is most likely going to affect it negatively first in the form of a shed.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Okay. Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds like the perfect response, actually.
It sucks,
looking
actually,
for.
but that's the way it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always like an obvious, shock-inducing. That's the wrong word. Fear-inducing event. Like, it's not like, with every person that tries any medication out there, if it's going to work, that they wake up, a week later or 3 weeks later or 5 weeks later with, a covering of hair all over their pillow. It doesn't work like that. For some people it does,
Yeah.
but for some people it's really mild. It's really gradual, and there's not so much of a visual or cosmetic impact on your hair. It's just more subtle, and it takes longer to see the improvements.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because I guess that's what's commonly said, and I was just wondering if there was actually like actual truth to it, but it kind of makes sense, how the cycles. So another question real quick. There was another video that I saw that it's pretty well put video. It's from the channel Debunked. It's called Why Do We Go Bald? It actually references Spencer Coburn towards the end about, I don't know if you've seen that video. Have you seen it?
I don't think I have. Let me see. What is it? Debunk?
It's called, it's by Debunked, the channel, but it's like an animation, and it's a really
I've seen that.
good
Yeah.
video. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and it covers like a lot of things, I guess you can say, and including something to do with some kind of treatment like that was discovered by accident in 2018, but it's been the way they reference you, Spencer, is how they say that they came across it by accident, but scientists have been saying that for years that the treatment is around 5 years away or something like that. Yeah, and then they quote you saying something about in 1998 they discovered something about stem cells and here we are 20 years later, with.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen this. Have I?
Yeah.
I see a lot of shit. Yeah, I think I've seen this. Yeah, it's a good video. It's got a lot of views.
Yeah, I like that video a lot. But since it's this tonight's show is about it says death by hair transplant, so I'm guessing it's like transplant based. But I was in that video. It says that 4,000 grafts could possibly cover an entire scalp. Is that?
I'm gonna have to debunk that one.
Yeah, and well, okay, it depends. It depends on the definition of cover. Like, is there enough hair to go from front to back? Yes. But you could also do 500 grafts. It's a matter of density. Is there enough hair to create enough density so that you can have actual coverage of the scalp? And then the idea of coverage, is it completely non-see-through? Is it, light coverage where you can see through, but it's like a thin diffused coverage? Or I mean there's so many different variables of how people classify coverage in density. It's really difficult to quantify that. But in general, if you're completely bald, let's say a Norwood 6, and you had 4,000 grafts front to back, you wouldn't be happy.
You said you wouldn't be happy?
It would. Most people would not be happy with that in today's world. It would be far too thin. The general rule of thumb, the modified rule of thumb, I modified it for my own perception, is that for every level of the Norwood scale, you need about anywhere between 1,200 to 1,300 grafts for each level. It's not exact, but I mean it can, like when you're looking at a Norwood 6, you're looking at over 7,000 grafts, and that's probably a good range to look for a Norwood 6 is 7,000 grafts plus to get acceptable coverage and density, or the appearance of density in today's world, and the way that people look at hair.
Would you say that the average donor area has that amount?
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends. Like, in my experience with strip surgery, when strip surgery is done right from the first one to the last one, by an experienced physician that knows what they're doing, the average donor zone will offer up between 6,500 and 8,500 grafts over X number of procedures. With FUE, that's a much more subjective approach, because as a physician, you're dealing with understanding of the larger overall expanded donor area. If that's the case, then Yeah, it's about right. It's in there around the same, but I think that overall strip has the edge as far as the graft numbers, because a lot of times the expanded donor area is weaker than we want it to be. So it's not easy to answer, but I think that I think that should cover it.
Yeah, it makes sense because when I put both hands on top of my head, let's say if I were to be a Norwood 7, it could kind of, both hands would like cover that, and every scalp has that left in the Norwood 7, the donor area, I guess you can say, like both hands. So it would make sense, but like you said in the past videos, that you would look like a plucked chicken, you know, like a dandelion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you technically have a lot more hair available with FUE than you do with strip. It's just there's a cosmetic threshold that you can't cross with FUE before it looks far too thinned out, and I mean you could literally take every hair out of the donor area with FUE, but it would look ridiculous.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't mind.
Unless you wanted just a mohawk, and then you just have scar tissue in the back of your scalp and the sides.
I actually had someone ask for that.
That worries me.
Look, man,
I had a guy that was serious about it too. He was very intent on doing
I had a guy that this years ago when I first started the show that was his goal. That's what he was working for, man.
Yeah.
Oh, to have all this donor area or donor hair.
But back then they were just starting to. I mean, the only guy that was able to do it at the time, there was Ray Woods, and I don't even think John Cole had started really doing FUE. This was like in 1999.
Yeah.
So this guy was going to go to Australia and get a fucking mohawk. I had to talk him out of it.
I mean, it makes sense, like for some, because.
And I should put the camera on me, huh?
I could just see the look on Ray Woods' face as the guy shows up. Yeah, I want you to build me mohawk. He'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here."
I don't know. Maybe.
I would hope. I would hope that's what he would say.
Yeah.
So.
I wouldn't mind having the high fade, you know, and just shaving all the sides, like, because I don't really need the hair on the sides, like it's the hair on top that everybody's concerned with. But the scar tissue is what would be worrisome.
As the great Scorpion would say, it's not the hair on your head, it's the hair in your heart. I don't know if you guys remember that guy.
Yeah, I remember him for sure. I'm still waiting for him to call back.
He will. He actually, he actually did not too long ago. I think it was this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So.
All right, dude.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you take care of yourself.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Phone number 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is John.
Hey, John. Where are you calling from?
John.
How's it going? Happy birthday, Spencer.
Thanks, John. Where are you calling from, man?
Florida.
John from Florida. What's happening?
Hey, guys. So I wanted to talk about something you guys don't talk about a lot, Minoxidil. I know you guys are not big fans of it. Well, at least I know Spencer isn't. I don't know about Joe. But so basically just to put some...
Joe is a Minoxidil fanboy.
Yeah. So basically... Well, I'm not a fanboy, but, like, just to put into context. So, like, I was taking Minoxidil when I was 21, right? Like, everyone starts off with Minoxidil. And after I had my procedure, I stopped using it. Like, I just went cold turkey because I thought that maybe, like, since I had the procedure, it would, like, affect, you know, like, it wouldn't have an effect anymore. But, man, like, I went through, you know, like, a lot of shedding when I stopped it. So I came across a study. I don't know if you guys know this study. It's by the International Society of Hair Restoration Surgeons. And the study went a little bit like this. It's like, I think it was like 1,000 guys. Like, I don't have the study in front of me, but it was like 1,000 guys that they did the study.
Wait a second. Who? What organization? Go ahead. Sorry.
The IS. I don't know exactly.
The IS what?
Who?
No, that's an inside joke. It has nothing to do with you. It's the ISHRS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And basically they took 1,000 guys and they measured their hair, I guess their hair loss while they showered. and they measured that they showered like I think it was like 70 hairs or something like that. And when they used minoxidil, I think twice a day, it went down to like 30. So, you know, like to me, that kind of shows that like, I don't know if it's doing something in terms of hair loss. I know minoxidil doesn't like block DHT, but like, you know, in terms of hair loss, it seemed like that's pretty substantial. So, you know, like I did the research and everything, and I jumped back on minoxidil. And that's pretty much what I've noticed. Like, I lose a lot less hair when I'm taking minoxidil than I do when I just take, for instance, just finasteride. And like, I don't know what you guys think about that study. Do you guys think that study was pretty, like, do you guys even know about that study? Or?
Sure. It's an old study, dude.
Like, what do you guys think? Like, do you guys think that minoxidil, like, is that
I definitely think in the first 2 years of use, you can see you can have those type of results. I used minoxidil for quite a long time, and I just tapered off of it. It took a long time to taper off of it because I just kind of felt that, you know, finasteride really did the trick for me. And I felt that it was, at the time, the type that I was using was a brand name. I was getting irritated scalp, and I really didn't think that that was the reason I was maintaining my hair. Now, for the first few years, when there was no finasteride available for hair loss or for even benign prostate hyperplasia, and even before minoxidil was approved for hair loss, I was having it compounded by a doctor and a compounding pharmacist. So I believe that it kind of helped me maintain some hair for a few years, but I think it's kind of a Band-Aid.
You think it loses its like after a couple of years it loses its?
I think what happens is that your hormones just really take over and your genetics take over, and you need something stronger that affects DHT.
True.
In
terms of like the quality, because
go ahead.
No, because I also noticed that because like I've switched on and off of different minoxidils, and I noticed those like the one I started with was not like the original like Rogaine or like generic minoxidil. It was one that had like it had this other ingredient. It had like azelaic acid. It had retinol. I think it was called like Lipogaine, something like that.
Yeah, and Dr. Lee had a formula, and he was, I mean, I don't know if he did time or if he just, what happened to that guy?
I don't know. I don't think he did time, but he was certainly shut down hard.
Yeah.
And fined.
He was really shut down hard. This guy was selling a lot of products that were really helping people.
You guys think those minoxidil? Yeah, I think it was like the Minoxidil Max, something like that, right?
His product was, it escapes me because I'm hungover. But yeah, I mean, I happen to like Dr. Lee. I always kind of felt that what he was doing, it was a slippery slope for him, but he was making products that were actually helping people. He was, one of the first guys to put something out there that, used minoxidil that didn't have propylene glycol in it. So guys were able to use it, get the benefits of minoxidil with his, azelaic acid without having kind of like that harsh chemical burn reaction or that allergic reaction that a lot of people get. So I think he was really doing good work. Believe me, it took a big effort for the FDA and whomever to crack down on him. And there had to be some serious lobbying being done to make that happen.
Correct.
Probably from other doctors and also other manufacturers. But go ahead.
So if you guys were to pick a minoxidil, like I know you guys don't use it or anything, because I've gotten pretty good results. Like I only used it, like I went back on the Lipogaine one for like 2 months and I've seen a decrease in hair loss. But like if you guys were to pick like a minoxidil preparation, which like the best one? Like what other ingredients are also good? Like retinol I heard is pretty good, but like what other stuff is I guess like clinically proven?
I'm old school. I definitely think that kind of the more you put it in, the more the kitchen sink approach, the less you really know how things are, working. And also there's other variables for all kinds of different adverse effects. I would pick a minoxidil that doesn't have propylene glycol, and that may have some other agents in it that could help kind of make it easier on the scalp so you don't have any scalp inflammation. But other than that, I'm not a big, I don't know how much evidence there is about combining these ingredients and getting superior results. Joe, what are your thoughts?
I don't even pay attention to it anymore because there's so many different variations out there, and no one has come to me and said, "Oh my God, this is like fantastic, like the best thing since sliced bread." It's just it's minoxidil, and just not a fan in general of any variation of it except Loniten. And like if you want to go through the read the side effects, understand the side effects, and really consider the side effects, Loniten, small dosage, I think is the most effective form of minoxidil out there. And I'm not seeing anything to contradict that, actually.
All right, man. Listen, we're gonna take some more calls, but I hope that we're able to help you to some degree.
Like real quickly, Joe said Loniten, like the pills type. Like,
yes. Yeah, you got it's prescription only, and there are side effects worse than finasteride. So be careful if you're considering it.
All right, one more quick question, if I can ask it real quick. What's the best time to take finasteride, like in the morning or at night? Like if you guys were to...
There are theories that taking it at night is the way to go because your testosterone is at its highest peak in the morning. When you wake up, and also throughout the night. I don't know. I don't really think it makes a difference.
Okay.
Joe?
Okay.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, testosterone levels are higher at night supposedly, but I just take mine in the morning because that's how much I care.
I mean, I happen to take mine at night. I take it after the Tuesday show. That's how I kind of just remember doing it.
Oh, yeah, because he takes it once a week. That's right. Yeah.
All right, dude. Listen, thanks for the call as usual, and I appreciate the patronage, and I wish you luck. Call back next week if you want.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
All right,
have a good
man.
one. Have a good birthday.
Thanks for calling.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Take care. Sorry if I sound a little... See that? Say that?
People are listening to know it's your birthday.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to thank everybody for that. And if I sound a little like, I don't mean to be short with anybody, but I got a fucking killer hangover right now, man. It's not what it used to be. Like when I was 20 years old, and
when you were 53, it was like crazy.
When I was
53,
I could fucking party. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Yes, hi, Spence.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Happy birthday.
Thank you, man. Who's this?
This is Nick from New York.
Welcome, Nick. How are you?
Hello, Nick.
Hi, Joe. So I've called a few times in the past couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a few questions on finasteride.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Those efficacy charts on the internet, are those kind of accurate? Like the 0.5, the amount of DHT that they reduce in the scalp?
Which charts on the internet?
The dosing of finasteride, like 1 milligram, is around 69%. 0.5 is 62%. I think 0.2 is around 59%.
I'm sorry, I was just having a problem with my software here. Can you guys still see me? See us? Joe, we still on the air?
Yeah, we're still in the air.
I don't know why it's on solo. I think that's probably pretty accurate. It sounds like it would be relatively accurate. I definitely know that the 1 milligram dose, at least clinically, was proven to be effective or efficacious on 86% of the guys that use it during clinical trials. So, I mean, I don't know how many people were actually tested clinically on the lower dosages. Do you know anything about that, Joe?
I remember reading something about this, but no, I mean, I don't recall that detail. No.
But I also believe that everything, and again, we're not physicians, these medications are dose dependent, and in our opinion, and I think that there are guys who are on 2.5 milligrams of finasteride who get equal results as people who are taking 1 milligram, and they're mitigating the potential for side effects. So I don't necessarily think I don't think more is always better in this with this particular drug, and I think there are plenty of people who can take a small dose and really reap some significant benefits.
Okay, because I was taking 1 milligram again recently, and I felt the sides.
Yeah.
And now I'm at 0.5 with less sides, and it's just I feel like my headline is kind of collapsing rapidly now.
After 0.5, well, yeah, for you, it's it's dose dependent, obviously, So what you can maybe try to do is do intermittent therapy. Talk to your doctor about it, of course. But go ahead, Joe.
And I think that there are people that are a lot more sensitive to that dose dependency and the side effects, and the negative side effects and the positive side effects will increase and decrease accordingly relative to each other as you change your dosage. So you went down to 0.5 milligram, you got less side effects but less efficacy as well. So that makes sense.
Okay, which brings me to my next point. Caller, Grammy, who called in with topical finasteride.
Mm-hmm.
How can I find that, or if I can make it myself? I have a bottle of Minoxidil.
Well, no, you don't make it yourself. I think he was in the chat room earlier. So just Graham from Australia, if you're listening, the caller is asking where you got your topical finasteride. I believe, if I recall correctly, you said you had it shipped into Australia. So put that down in the type that up in the chat room. He said he had it from America?
That's where he said he sourced it from, but I think Spence kind of scared him into sharing it. So if he could post it in the chat room, that would be great.
I didn't scare him. I just told him that he doesn't want to fuck up his source.
Okay.
Doesn't want to get these guys, I mean, it's a good source. He doesn't want to fuck it up. He doesn't want to, have it shut down. Like poor Dr. Lee.
Yeah, like poor Dr. Lee, I was going to say.
So with topical finasteride, you can just wear it and how do you walk around with it, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, just like using Minoxidil in the morning or at night.
Okay. As far as cross-contamination with anything, is that a concern, or?
Cross-contamination, I mean, before you get the product or once it's put on your scalp? Because once it's on your scalp, it's going to be cross-contaminated with anything that is on your scalp.
Okay, so I assume at night in bed would be the safest, not going to the gym and.
Well, I don't think anything's going to happen. I mean, it's not like if it mixes with air or dirt or debris that all of a sudden something's going to happen to your scalp or it's going to be ineffective. It's going to absorb into your scalp relatively quickly. It doesn't just sit on there. That's the whole point. It's a drug and has a vehicle that's going to help it to penetrate into the scalp. And once it's dry, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
it's not like you got to wear it's not like you got to wear a do-rag or anything, man.
Okay.
I mean, you can if you want. I'm cool with that, but I'm just telling you.
So I see in the message board, Busher Leon says Bauman. I know Dr. Bauman's down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be able to get a prescription sent in from him, or?
You can contact his office and see what he has to say. I mean, it's possible. I mean, you would have to. I'm sure you would have to have a consultation. He would have to make you a patient. You'd have to actually be a patient. And but I'm sure once you are an actual patient, there are ways he can definitely ship you the product.
Okay. Okay. So moving along real quickly. as far as concealers.
Show these guys that 18-year-old head of hair I just sent you.
Well, I can't do that. You got to put that up on your. Oh, I know what you're saying. Okay, hold on. Jesus.
My buddy on my birthday sends me pictures of myself as a kid I grew up with. Every year, a different picture. And this is in my dorm room, 18 years old. No product in my hair. It was unbelievable. Like a fucking head of hair, like a god.
Look at that.
Really fucks me up. Say it again?
For YouTube. I'm waiting for it to post on YouTube. Joe should also change his 10,000 subscriber mark. It's been hit. Congratulations, Joe. Next slot is 15,000.
Dude, we're gonna kill it. We're gonna kill it. We're gonna be making some changes. We're gonna fucking kill it.
Because I see the photo now. Wow.
That's a fucking head of hair, dude. Ridiculous.
I guess a question to you, Spencer, when you wake up, as the previous caller asked, without product.
You see every scar. No, I have no scars. It's an event in people's lives when they see me like that, when I first wake up. Let's put it that way. It's a total. Now, first of all, the makeup stays on my scalp. Dermatch is good. So it's not like I wake up and all of a sudden, there's no makeup on my head. But when I shower, there's no makeup on my head. But when I wake up, it's pretty fucked up because I use a lot of hairspray. And it basically just like I look like the guy from Flock of Seagulls. Maybe a reference you don't recognize, but just looks, it's ridiculous. I make fun of myself all the time.
Okay.
Not a good look.
So you would say you're like a Norwood 4, like 3?
No, I'm a Norwood. It depends. I'm like a high 2 or 3 on one side, and then I have thinning in the crown. So it's not really on the Norwood. My pattern is not on the Norwood scale. I kind of slowed it and stopped it before I made an actual pattern, Norwood pattern. That's actually on there. Mine would look retarded. Can I say retarded? Yeah, I just did.
You can say retarded.
Yeah.
Okay. So I still use Dermatch and.
I use Dermatch and I use hairspray. So essentially, frontal forelock down to the center of my hairline. Even though it went up, it's pretty good. It's pretty strong as shit. And you can see the recession here. And I have a higher recession here, which I'm not going to show you guys because I messed up my hair going out for another dinner tonight. And I have thinning in the back. So that's what it is. So I have enough hair, luckily, that I can blow dry and comb and just shut it down with makeup and hairspray, just like lock it in. It's a sculpture. It's a work of art, actually.
He starts getting ready for the show 3 hours before we're on.
All
right.
You do consume 5 milligrams of finasteride in one dose?
One dose, 5 milligrams. And
once a week, right?
Once a week, yeah.
Okay. And have you experienced sides with finasteride?
I haven't been able to have sex in 30 years. So I haven't, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only side effects that I've experienced were the ball ache, which was transient, and I definitely have. I noticed, but it's been this way for so long, a lower amount of seminal fluid. Or ejaculant. I'm no longer shooting ropes. That's all,
Okay. That's a real side. From a lot of
it is, dude. It fucked up my whole porn career. That's why I have to do this shit because it's fucking drug. So, all right, man. Wish you the best of luck. We'll talk soon. All right. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice week.
Take care. Bye bye.
See you, Nick.
888-659-3727 is a toll-free number. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, my name's Robert. I'm in Milwaukee.
Robert from Milwaukee.
Hello,
What's happening?
Robert.
Yes. I spoke to you guys about, I don't know, last year sometime once. And here I am again.
Good.
He's back. What's changed?
Robert
What's
from
new?
Milwaukee is back.
I'm back, guys. Okay, so basically, I'm getting closer to the part where I want to actually have the hair transplant surgery done. I'm 59. I'm a Norwood 5'6". A lot of diffused hair in the center of my scalp. The back is getting, it's not a low horseshoe type of recession, but it's still there nonetheless. It's very, very, almost just about gone. And that, that where the yarmulke spot would be, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the front is gone. So I've been losing my hair since I was about 21. And of course, I dealt with it, saw some bad hair transplants in the past and just said, I want to do that, but that does not look right. That was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
So, 59, blah, blah, blah. I'm aging fairly well. However, I guess since I turned 50, 52, 53, the progression came on, more severely. I was doing Rogaine for probably about 4 years back in, I thought it was about 52. And I just got tired of doing it. I have really curly hair, and I wear a lot of hair product, and it's a real pain in the ass to try and put that crap in your hair twice a day.
Sure.
Yep.
So, and I didn't want to do the finasteride because of all the negative stuff that I heard, but I know that Corbin's been on it. Are you on it, Joe, too? Did I hear you say you are?
Yes, absolutely. Have been for 17 years now.
Okay. Well, in any event,
so you never tried you're 59. You never tried finasteride when it came out?
No, I never tried it. I think I heard about it in the late 90s, but at that point, my hair, I thought, well, yeah, it looks okay still. I mean, it was a high forehead, but in the back, it wasn't really coming out yet. This all really developed basically, it got really thin in the last 5 years to the point that, I use a topic type product in my hair right now and have my hair long and comb it straight back and, put gel in it. And as long as it doesn't rain, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I can't, you know how it goes.
Oh, I know.
All the freaking tricks that you try and do. Right. Well, I'm really tired of all this nonsense. And, so anyway, I'm looking at 3 different hair transplant surgeons. Can I talk about them online, or you don't want me to mention any names?
Yeah. We want all names. We want the names.
Okay. All right, great. So I know that I just saw the thing that you did with Arocha, Joe. Arocha. How do you say his name?
Yeah. Arocha.
Yeah, okay, Arocha. I saw that. I had heard you talk about him a little bit before, so he's definitely on the radar. Then the one that I was leaning real heavy to in the past was Hassan and Wong. And I know that Joe went there actually, and you worked there, and you had him do work on you. And then the other one is Dr. Deep in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I look at all 3 of them, of their work on YouTube, on their websites, blah, 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 it seems like Deep, I don't know, his stuff stands out. Now, I know he's not a member of your association. I know he's pricey. I went on to your website, Joe. I'm sorry, Corbin, and I, read the forums about, and his name came up.
You can call me Spencer.
Really mentioned. Oh, Spencer.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm just busting your balls.
Please forgive me. So anyway, Spencer, his name came up. I did a search on there, and there wasn't a lot about the guy, but he's got a lot on YouTube, and
he does good YouTube for sure. And I can tell you this, he does fucking good. This guy does good YouTube. There's a lot of guys who don't, and we were 2 of them. for a while. We're going to change that. Joe's actually breaking that barrier. But anyway, I got nothing bad to say about Dr. Deep. I think that he has pretty consistent results in general. And, he hasn't applied to the organization. He did work with, I think he worked with the New Hair Institute for a while, if I'm not mistaken, with Bill Rassman. I could be wrong. And maybe I'm mixing up Asian guys, which is very politically incorrect. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, I don't hear a lot of complaints about Dr. Deep. So I would say, I mean, that's all the information I have. Joe, what do you think?
I'm a couple of things I'm not crazy about. And I mean, this is just, I never met the guy.
He's not on Specs' top 20 worldwide list.
He's not on Specs' top 20 hair transplant.
That really caused a fucking stir.
Oh my God, that was
I love it.
Shit
It was great.
I think that like Spencer said, he does good YouTube, no question about it. What I'm not crazy about is the way that he presents himself. I get this is just a gut feeling. It's just based on me knowing people. I could be completely wrong. He could be the most attentive doctor on the planet, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that really listens. Like he's speaking so fast, and it tells me he's got like a really fast brain. And people like that, in my experience, just don't listen. They don't listen. They
don't get laid much either. You got to be a listener.
I'm not saying that. Yeah. But when you're talking to, you ever had an experience where you're talking to someone and they're looking at you and they're nodding and they're going, yeah. But they're not actually listening to you. They hear you. And then the moment that they detect a break, they jump into what they've been just chomping on the bit to say. In other words, they've not been listening to fuck all that you've been saying, and they've been waiting to say something back to you. That's the impression I get. Again, I could be completely wrong. And that, to me, isn't a great characteristic to have as any type of surgeon in any discipline. Results overall, he's very consistent in the fact that he seems to get good growth, but I've not been the biggest fan of his hairlines just for aesthetic differences.
In what
That's
way?
all I can say. I mean, I don't think that they're. I think that they could be more natural, and I won't go any further than that because it's like how he does his hairlines. It's conjecture. I don't know I don't know the details of his procedures. I have my ideas, but I'll just leave it at I'm not crazy about the naturalness. I think they could be a bit more natural with the outcome.
I see.
I'm also going to be to be completely candid. While it's important now, obviously, because this is the way people get attention in this world, to really concentrate on getting content on YouTube and on Instagram. The OG guys, the guys that started early, now the guys who are trying to catch up, everyone's trying to get in on it now, so I kind of understand it. But some of the guys that really concentrated on this aspect of marketing, I've never really felt that, how am I going to put this without getting in trouble? Or not getting in trouble, but pissing people off. I always kind of felt like it was more about the sizzle than the steak. And it seems to be the case. Like there was the original OG guy who started to talk about hair transplants on YouTube. That was the guy whose patient ended up having necrosis. Teaches a lot. He's a very, nice guy, very well spoken, incredibly eloquent and articulate and all that stuff. But to hear him, you would think that this is the master hair transplant surgeon of the world. And the results don't speak to that. So that's all I'm saying. But you got to put it all in perspective, man. Guys that spend a lot of time on social media, really pimping themselves out, You know, they're doing it for a reason. It's not necessarily because they are the best in the world.
Right. With Orocha, I noticed when I watched the video that you had of him, he didn't do a lot of temple point stuff with his, I guess, probably his first procedure, but it wasn't really clear. I went on his website and I looked at his YouTube channel, and yeah, I mean, like with Deep, I noticed that that's one of the things he pushes every single, at least the videos that he shows on YouTube, that he really pushes the temple point thing on the sides of your head, and he tries to frame
and there's another clarification on my issues with naturalness. Not every patient should have, even if their temple points are completely gone, it doesn't mean they should have temple point reconstruction. Why? Because it is the single most difficult area to reproduce naturally. And it has to do with not just the surgeon's skill, but also has to do with the donor hair available. And there are tricks that I've learned with how to make a hairline look natural, even with thick hair shafts. Like even if you say you're a pasty white guy with jet black hair that's really coarse, no surgeon on the planet, or no technician on the planet for that matter, can dissect those singles down to the point where when it's placed, it won't look pluggy. That's just a given. Thick, black, coarse hair on pasty white skin as a single hair graft will still look pluggy. It's a fact. But I've learned tricks about this from various doctors I know, where that can be overcome with the type of placement and the type of density that is created. But when it comes to temple points, density is not an issue. You can't trick with density. You can't. I mean, this thing, it's like right there, smack dab on the side of your head, right behind your ears, right behind your eyes and eyebrows. You can't fake it. You can't. I mean, you have to have some serious skills with a Z to be able to pull off temple points, and you have to know when not to do temple points, and that's a big thing. So I'm glad you brought that up, because Dr. Rocha knows, like, in some cases you just don't do it. Like there's no reason to in some cases, even with the temple points being gone, completely recessed. That's when you place the hairline higher, because there's a balance to the profile. I'm actually working on how to associate that. Like how to place a hairline how high based on temple points, if they exist or don't exist. But that's why in some cases, when you don't put in the temple points, you need to go with a higher hairline. So I mean, it's a whole different discussion available with that, or that could be had with that. But that's the difference between doctors that you'll see. Some are gung-ho about temple points, and that's great, but it's not for everyone. And some doctors are very selective. So I think it's imperative to understand the pros and cons of doing temple point work before you start looking at doctors just for their temple point work, because it may not be the right way to go about it. Digest that.
No, I got that. With Dr. Wong, with Hassan and Wong, so like with me personally, I was going to go with FUT because, like I said, I'm 59 years old, and I'd like to get the majority of it done in one shot if I possibly could, like 5,000 or 6,000 grafts at one time. I know he does do that. So, I mean, would you guys say that that's a good way to go in my, with the Norwood 5.6, or, I'm not so, I don't wear my hair short, so it's not really much of an issue as to whether I have, I don't want a Frankenstein scar on the back of my head, but the scar on the back of my head.
Let me stop right there. So I think that I can stop you, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I've heard this a million times. I think that look, when big sessions work out great, they work out great. I mean, it's like the one and done is a wonderful, wonderful concept. The problem is that If a one and done is not done, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I got you.
And if you follow the show, if you follow my YouTube channel, if you're a listener of this show, you know that not every case always works out. That every doctor out there has patients that are unhappy for a laundry list of reasons. Okay, my position, and I work with doctors that do big sessions. I mean, Haddingen Hair in Switzerland, God, fucking one of the best clinics on the planet. Love these guys. They do big sessions. They've been noted for doing really healthy sized sessions, and they do a great job at it. They really do. Not a fan of that, because I know that eventually, there's going to be a patient where it didn't work out, and what happens? Like, you can't go back in and like, oh fuck it, let's go do another 6,000. Can't do it. So I'm a big fan now of taking baby steps. What's wrong with 3,000? Take care of the front. Wait a year. See how it turned out. If it was great, then do another 3,000. Guess what? It'll be easier to get 6,000 grafts in 2 sessions than it will be in 1 session, and you'll be most likely happier because of it.
And you would do that FUE.
I'm sorry, FUE?
FUT. You would do the 3,000 and the 3,000 in FUE and not FUT, is what you're saying.
I would do that regardless of the procedure. I'm talking about I'm talking about small versus big sessions. I wasn't talking about the type of procedure.
Yeah, I understand
so,
that. But, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're talking about FUE, then yeah, I mean, same applies. Yeah, maybe 3,000. The difference with FUE versus FUT, I mean, if we're going to dissect this and break it down, is that you could probably get away with fewer grafts, like say 3,000 for the first, and then maybe 2,000 or 2,500 for the second, simply because you can cherry pick the larger grafts that have more hairs in each graft, so you can get more hair with fewer grafts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, and that's what you want. I mean, you want to be able to have fewer extractions with FUE because you're getting a 1-to-1 ratio of scar tissue for every extraction, whereas with FUT, it's significantly less scarring overall compared to FUE.
Right.
How's that for a bomb?
Okay. Well, yeah, it's as clear as mud. I mean,
did I just fuck up your plans?
No. Well, it gave me more to think about. I mean, like I said,
well, dude,
I'm
you're
not in my
59 years
30s
old.
anymore.
What's the rush? Seriously, you're 59 years old.
The rush is death, my man. That's the rush.
Yeah, Spencer's got it.
yeah. From the guy that's turning 54 today. Yeah, now he's worried about it. No, it's like you've waited this long, so it's like, what's another year? If you're to have it today, then my recommendation would be get a smaller one, regardless of the procedure. Doesn't matter, and evaluate. I mean, what's wrong with that? In fact, after 1 year, assuming that you do the front first, you might say, fuck it, the back's fine. I don't see it. It doesn't bother me. I can't count how many times I've had people say that to me. It's like, I wanted to get a big session, and then, we decided to do just the front only. And then here we are a year later, or, 18 months, whatever. I'm not concerned about that back anymore. You just save yourself 10 grand or 15 grand or 3 grand, depending where you go, So
that leads
shouldn't be
to
a rush.
another question.
Yeah.
Okay. That leads to another question. These 3 people that I just mentioned, these 3 doctors, I would assume they're all in the same price range. I mean, what should I be paying for something like this from a surgeon like these guys?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
I know, but like with his yeah, whatever. That's a great answer.
I'm just screwing you up left and right, aren't I?
$5. Yeah, I'd rather pay $5, Doc. Yeah, sure, right. That's happening. But I mean, like with Deep, his waiting list is so freaking long. It's crazy. I mean, just to get a consultation, it took almost 2 months to just get a consultation with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't know about the other ones yet because I have to.
He does great YouTube,
surgery every
man.
day. Yeah, he does good YouTube.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is he only doing hair transplant surgery? Because I was in the impression he was also dabbling in other things.
He has one other thing listed on there, and I don't remember what it is, but it seemed like that's the majority of his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
fair enough. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, like these people, I asked whoever I spoke to with Deep, and the receptionist said, I think she said 550 to 350 or something like that for FUT, depending on the quantity. And I think that Hassan and Blanc, they have it listed up there. I don't remember exactly what it said.
5 and 3.
5 and 3. Okay.
Yep.
So they give you a discount for the more that they do, I assume.
Yeah, it's a sliding scale. Once you cross a threshold, I think it's 1,500. Then each graft over 1,500 is the lower price. So the more you get, the cheaper it is per graft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you recommend anybody else that I should look at that's, upper level, top tier that you guys consider?
Well, everyone I work with, I consider to be upper level, top tier. It's like I vet the shit out of these guys, and if I say to myself I would never consider having a procedure with this guy, they're not on my list. Like I don't.
I got you.
Like I've held steady to that, and it's cost me a lot of money. but I have to, and then basically like go to iahrs.org, throw a rock. It's a great place to start,
Yeah.
My advice is always just have as many consultations as possible. Really look at these guys, and like I tell everybody, yeah, I mean, we've done our best to try to separate the consistently good doctors who really support the message that we were putting out there from all the rest. But anybody can fuck you up, or things can happen. So you just have to be prepared for that. And I think Joe's advice is perfect. I mean, you want to start, modestly. I think that having a reasonable 2,500 graft transplant is it's a very reasonable approach, or more, but I mean, to go for the really large sessions, which is possible, it's great. If it works out, it is fucking fantastic, but you do not hear about, and you don't see the images of those who it doesn't work out for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's not being posted online. Yeah.
I would also, sorry, I would say I would also recommend that, what Spencer said is have as many consultations as possible. Don't wait for availability of face-to-face. Like I would start doing online consultations with everyone you can and start from there. Like work your way. Cause you realistically, if okay, let's say 10 online consultations, you're not going to fly around the country or the world to 10 different face-to-face consultations. It'd be nice if you could. That'd be really thorough. It'd be really, really, really detailed. And I'd applaud that. But and I do know people have done that, but very few people do. But start with the online stuff, and then, whittle it down to like the top 3 or the top 4, like you've been doing, and then take the time if you can to go visit them, and don't worry about the wait time. Like I was talking to Dr. Cooley. Like he's got a wait list that's similar. Just for consultation with him. Do online first, but book a in-person consult as well, in case you get to that point with that guy or with any of these guys. Right. Say, all right, let's do both. And if it makes sense online, then we can move to the next step, and you've already got your slot reserved.
Okay. Do any of these surgeons do any more past the point of like drawing the outline on your head, and then are they doing the removal anymore? Or all the techs doing this, or are they?
Well, again, what are you talking about with FUT or FUE?
Well, let's just go with the FUT first.
Okay, they're all taking out the strip.
Yeah.
No technician that I'm aware of ever takes out the strip.
Okay, that's what Period. I assumed with that.
Yeah.
Now,
just so you know, the standard model of hair transplantation up until the advent of anyone and everyone can do FUE. For strip surgery was the doctor takes out the strip anywhere from 10 to 60 or even 80 minutes long of time. Not a big fan of the shorter removal time. And then while that's being done, if they're doing it the right way, technicians are dissecting the grafts under microscopes, and then the doctor, flips the patient around somehow and starts making the incisions so that then another batch of technicians or some of the same technicians can start placing the grafts. That has been the standard for 30 years. With FUE, yeah, you got maybe the doctor's doing it. It's actually the minority of clinics out there where the doctor is doing the extractions. Most clinics now are employing technicians or physician's assistants or someone other than the doctor whose name is on the door to remove the grafts. Is that a bad thing? Not really. I mean, I know technicians, Spencer knows technicians that can transplant circles around the doctors that hired them. My concern is that technician the same one that's responsible for the great results that got you in the door to begin with? If they just got hired last week, then no, they're not. So I think it's important that when you're going to be considering FUE cases or clinics that are offering FUE, and that's what you're looking for, you need to ask the people, ask whomever you're talking to, the consultant or the doctor, are the results that I'm seeing on your website, were they performed, like whoever did the extraction, are they in the clinic the same day as I will be and will be working on my head? Because if it's someone else, then I'll wait till that person's available.
And the answer many times will be, well, no, this person that we have is actually better than the last technician, has a better skill set or some bullshit like that. That is a standard operating procedure in this industry. You have to make sure that these technicians have been working with that particular clinic for a significant period of time, that they have enough time on tissue. And that's hard to do because, how are you going to really, if the physicians are honest, that's great. And that's why we tell you kind of like, look at the IHRS. It's a great place to start. Look at some of the guys that Joe's working with personally as well, because at the very least, you're going to get a straight answer.
Okay.
At the very least, you're going to get the truth. I mean, at least as far as, their staff is concerned. And, we really try to ensure that. But the reality is, I mean, there's staff turnover. Like, I was speaking to this guy, Dr. Yazdan, who's a relatively new member of the IHRS. He's been working with the exact same staff for a decade. But he's also one of the few guys that actually does his own extractions, and he implants hair himself as well with help of a technician.
That's even more rare.
What's his name?
His name is Amir Yazdan. He's in, Jesus Christ. He's out here in Southern California, but where he's in Newport Beach and also in Vegas.
Newport Beach, Amir Yazdan. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check him out too. I mean, a lot of these doctors are just basically, the technicians are the ones that's what you're going to turn out looking like. Isn't that correct? Isn't that what I'm hearing from you guys?
100%. That is the new that is the new hair transplant model. That is the new world of hair transplant surgery, and that's why Joe dragged me back into this fucking thing, because it's more dangerous than it's ever been before. So you want to go with people who have, been in the hair transplant game for a good period of time. Doesn't necessarily mean the guys who have been doing it for 30 years, that's not necessarily great either, because they did a lot of damage in the past. But, you want the guys who really had a really good FUT base, who had some, some really great results, and who have, who are well tenured in the field. But a lot of these guys who are well tenured, who have their reps, have had to convert over to FUE just out of pure necessity. And they waited a little too long, and now they kind of like are letting techs do the work for them, and they're getting patients based on their great reputations from their FUT. So you just got to do your due diligence and really just be careful and know who's performing your surgery. If you do that, then frankly, in my view, as long as it's legal, it doesn't really make a difference. If the results are good and they're consistent and the techs are really good, then, but I just think consumers should be aware of it. And, when someone walks in and is promoting themselves or is trying to sell a surgery and a consultant is selling it to you or a doctor selling it to you, and they are not giving a lot of praise to the technicians or explaining who they are and how much time on tissue they have, and then you find out that they're doing the surgery, that's not a good thing. And that happens pretty often. So can you get a great hair transplant? 100%. That's why we're here. We're trying to guide people safely. But you also know the industry is completely different now, so you got to be extra careful.
Right.
Don't sound so bummed, man. Don't sound so bummed. We're just telling you the truth.
Bro, no. That's why I'm talking to you because, like you already said, you're 59 years old. What's the difference almost at this point? But no, I'm not dead yet, so I don't want to.
You're not dead yet. Yeah, you're not dead yet, and also, we're starting to feel our mortality, so we want to get shit done, man. We want to look good now, before it's too late.
Yeah, that's just right about that. You want to get stuff done now while it's not too late.
Dude, because we're gonna hit a wall soon. I don't know when that's going to happen. The wall's going to it's creeping up, and all of a sudden you're Joe Biden. So.
Oh, God. The guy with the world's worst hair transplant.
Yeah. Well, but sadly, if you look at him now, I mean, from when he was vice president to now, I mean, he sadly has hit that wall. And he went from, old Uncle Joe to, and again, this is just my opinion, but like, does Joe need help? You know what I mean? Like getting up the stairs or completing a sentence.
Oh, God.
I was going to say completing a sentence.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's struggling.
Yeah. So I don't know when my wall is gonna come crumbling down, but I'm doing everything I can right now to live it up. So I get it.
Yeah. Well, just keep working out, like you said. You work out often?
Worked out this morning.
Awesome. Just keep that up, bro. It's a fountain of youth. Best you can do for yourself.
Working out, intermittent fasting, in my view, has completely, my skin has been insane in the last, I say 4 to 6 months of really intermittent fasting. The changes have been dramatic. Now, I fucked it up last night a little bit because I got loaded, but I really haven't been drinking too much. But yeah, and hair fucking helps, man. Doesn't matter if it's white, as long as you got it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it makes a big difference in how you look.
Yeah. So listen, we're gonna have to go, but take Joe's advice, take our advice.
Okay.
Do your due diligence.
Okay, I will.
Really take your time. And yeah, it's good to get information from YouTube, but it's fucking YouTube, man. It's fucking images and video, and you got to see this shit for yourself if you can.
Right.
All right, man.
Right.
Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
All right, take care. Bye bye.
Thanks for calling. See you.
Guys always sound so bummed when we tell them like it is.
I know.
All right, guys, we're gonna call it a night.
Almost 4:20.
Yeah, good show. Joe, you did not give out the websites, and I didn't prompt you to, so you might as well do that now.
Well, let's do it then. All right. So we're going to start off with the forums, the websites that support our message. First off is hairlossexperiences.com. Lots of great clinics sharing the results in, patients sharing their experiences. That's hairlossexperiences.com. There's also bellicapelli.forumfree.it, the Italian hair loss and hair restoration forum. Also great clinics and great patients experiences and results. bellicapelli.forumfree.it. It is a weird name. I get it. Finally up is international-hairlossforum.com. It's the French hair loss and hair restoration forum. Clinics with results, patients with their experiences, all at international-hairlossforum.com. Check them out.
All right, guys, thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast, IAHRS.org for the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, AmericanHairLoss.org for the American Hair Loss Association, baldtruth.com for the baldtruthtalk.com for our message forum. And, of course, check out Joe Tillman's personal webpage is hairtransplantmentor.com, and please subscribe to his YouTube channel, which is youtube.com hair transplant mentor. Subscribe on iTunes and all that good stuff. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.